Well, why don't you tell me your impressions of Pawpaw's parents?
Well, I didn't meet him until after I married him. And we went home in February, February of the following year.
You were already married.
And 7 months pregnant. About almost 7 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Before I met his parents. It was hard for me to get to know them in a way because their life was a lot different to what my life as a, growing up was. But they were good to me. And they accepted me. And,
Well, they had to. You were 6 months pregnant.
and that's when I met Jean and
Mother wouldn't have cared
his
who
sister.
it was as long as she just wanted me to get married. She thought me getting married would settle everything.
Well, later on, they got to know us better together, and I got to know them better. And I got along with them really well. Didn't have any problems except when Dan was in in Japan. He went to Japan when Pat was 18 months old. And we had some problems while he was gone, mostly because they didn't want me to discipline her at all. She was to never be told no and anything, and if I would...
Anything she wanted, Pop got for her.
Just like with Jean.
Yeah.
The reason I had spent 9 months or better in Greenwood with Mother, and Mother took care of Pat, and I worked in Fort Smith, and then went down to their place and got a job at a full manufacturing company doing their payroll, and stayed with them, and we got along fine, except when she needed discipline once in a while. She was a very strong-willed child, and so when I told her no, and she told me yes, and she'd throw a fit and get her little hiney paddled, and Pop would get mad, and he'd pick her up and take her for a ride. Well, that just made her worse the next time. So before we left to go overseas, he and I had pretty good words, and we weren't speaking when we left. But Miss Smith would just say, "Oh, don't do that, don't do that." So anyway, but in later years, Pop thought I hung the moon.
Yeah.
Literally.
How did that change happen?
I think mostly because I stood up to him, and Dan will admit that.
Yeah.
And he respected that.
He respected that. And when we got back from Japan, we had Lisa, and Pat was not a little wild girl like he thought I was going to let her be or something. And we'd go home, and he just had all kinds of things for me to bake for him or cook for him, because by that time Miss Smith's cooking she had gotten to where
cooking, when she got to be about 60 years old, she lost all her cooking ability. She used to be an excellent cook, and when she got to be 60, she couldn't cook nothing.
And Pop would say, "Oh, good, we'll get some good food. Betty's here." And so I'd bake him all kinds of stuff that he liked, and I guess he would have done anything on earth for me.
Yeah. Now, out of the things I've heard about Pop Smith, the thing that always intrigued me is you say he knew the Bible forward and backward,
He read the Bible all the time.
but wasn't interested in religion.
Now, Mom said he did in later years while we weren't there. She said he went to church with her son. But prior to that, I had never known of him going to church at all. But he could sit and discuss the Bible with you all day long.
He could quote it, a lot of it.
Mm-hmm. And he would tell you,
Verbatim.
it's good reading, but nothing to it. And but he did. Anytime he was off, when he came in from work and had his supper and everything, he might go for a walk, but then he'd sit down in the evening and read the Bible. And I think he had had sleep apnea because he couldn't sleep at night. And he would sit up most of the time in a chair, sort of like his son is doing. And he would, but he always read the Bible. He'd be sitting there reading the Bible. So, but he did know all about the Bible.
Now, Granny Smith went to church, though.
Yeah.
Very faithfully.
Did she make you kids go when you were little?
Nope. She didn't go then.
Oh, she didn't go till later in
She went
life.
later
Years.
years.
And
No, I didn't start going to church until after I married.
Mhm.
I used to go to the colored church and sit up on the bridge and listen to the colored church while they were singing and all. But, I hear a little one in young man.
so you would sit on the bridge outside the church just to listen to
Yeah.
them sing?
Yeah, on 2nd Street there. The bridge was up just above the church. And you could see the church and all from up there. And I'd sit up there and listen to them sing.
Now, sometime when you're going to add pictures or anything to this, I have a picture of his grandpa. And of course, I have pictures of him and Mom.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a picture of Uncle Harv. And, you know, several others of the family that I've collected over the years.
I told him about Aunt Hard and Aunt Thiele. They were Mom. Aunt Thiele used to make fun of Dad. She'd tell him, say, "Oh, Dad said, I used to diaper you."
Did you tell him how many sisters and brothers your mother had?
I don't know how many they had.
Well, let's see. Your mother
Mother had
Aunt,
Uncle Ed,
Uncle Ed, Uncle
Aunt
John,
Thiele,
Aunt Thiele,
Aunt
Elmas.
Elmas. I
Aunt,
don't know who else.
what's the one that lived in
Aunt B.
Aunt B? And then there was another one that lived in one of those little towns before you got up to Pangburn, somewhere in
I
there.
don't know. I don't know that one.
Remember her name? I don't think I ever met her but once. But she had a big family. But they were scattered all over because John lived in Louisiana
Yeah.
and Uncle Ed lived
Uncle
out
Ed
in
was the one
Pangburn,
that I
but
knew.
passed away.
He was a farmer, and he passed away there at Pangburn when I was, well, about the time we got married or just after.
Well, after,
Yeah,
a while after, because I met him several times
yeah.
when we go home.
He was my, I guess he was my favorite uncle.
I don't know how many did your daddy have.
I don't have any idea.
I know there was Uncle Harv
Uncle Elmer,
and Uncle Elmer.
and Dad,
Yeah, and then Josie.
Aunt Josie, and I don't know who else. There was at least 4 or 5.
And they're scattered all over.
Yeah.
Well, they're all gone, but their family's scattered all over. And you know, Pete and Zell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's
Zell
Aunt
was
Josie's
Aunt Josie's daughter.
Daughter.
So that's a family connection in there. What else?
Well, you joined the Army when you were 16.
Yeah,
Isn't that too young?
yeah. I had to lie to get in.
Your dad signed papers?
Dad signed the papers that back then you could join at 17. And Dad signed the papers that I was 17. And when, I forget when I straightened it out, what,
After Lisa was born. When we had to.
no, I had to straighten my name out then.
Yeah. Well, yeah, just before that, when you straightened out your age.
But I finally got it straightened out.
Did it cause a problem for you when they found out that you joined at 16?
No,
No.
No, you'd been in about 10
I'd been
years
in
or
3 or 4
12.
years then.
No, I think it was after we married.
That could have been. I'd been in 4 years when Billy and I got married.
You said you straightened your name out after Lisa was born.
I thought my name was Daniel Gilbert Smith Jr.
Your mama said it was.
That's what Mother and them had always told me. And when I went to register Lisa, after we come back from Germany, come to find out there wasn't no such animal as that. So I had to get a name, and Dan Smith Jr. was the name I took, because that's what I had on all my papers. But I had to get registered and get a birth certificate at that.
Even his birthplace was wrong.
I thought I'd been born in Bassett, Arkansas, because that was where the old doctor was from. But he put, we lived in a little community of Evadale, and that's where he had put down that I was born.
But that wasn't it either.
No,
It was, what was the name of it that's on there now? The actual name of it?
Evadale,
Is it still Evadale?
yeah,
But that's not right.
yeah.
Well,
We
Miss
was
Smith
born,
said they
we
were,
was born between the two, between Bassett and Evadale.
so it could go either way.
You were born at home.
Yeah, I was born at home.
Why'd you decide to join the Army?
Just a kid like. I just wanted to join. I would have joined the Marines, but the Marines bragged too much. I had a cousin that was married to a Marine. She was married to a Marine lieutenant. And he was such a nice guy, other than he bragged on that Marine Corps. And so I joined the Army instead.
How'd you two meet?
Blind date.
Now the story goes, I was living in Fort Smith after I had graduated from high school, and this girl that I went to school with and I rented a one bedroom. We rented a bedroom in this, and they call it efficiency. We had the use of the kitchen and the dining room and the living room, but we had a bedroom was ours from this woman, and we thought she was an old woman, but she was 55. We found out later, and that didn't sound very old at all. But I didn't have a date that night, and she had a date with her Tex. We called him Tex. His name was
Clifton
Rex Amerson, and he was from Texas. She had a date with him, and I heard her on the phone after a while saying, you know anybody you can bring for Betty a date? And I said, no way. She says, oh yeah, I'm going to get you a date for tonight too. So he said, yeah, Dan said, yeah, he wasn't doing anything or something. He didn't have anything else to do or something. So anyway, he'd come. So he came, and so we told them rather than, we didn't have a car and they didn't either, and they rode the bus in. And it was about 10 blocks.
Yeah, 10 or 12.
So we told them we'd meet them halfway, the bus to our house. And that's the way we met.
How'd you know Tex?
He was in the outfit with me. He had been in Alaska, and he'd come back, and he was in the medics out there. We were both in the hospital at Camp Chaffee. I don't know where Tex worked at out there, but I worked at the time. I was working at a medical library, and I could take off any time I wanted to. All I had to do was clear with this radiologist. He was the young captain, and I just tell him where I wanted to go and how long I'd be gone, and he was all right with it. So I stayed gone a big part of the time.
So what'd you do on the first date?
Went to the movie,
I think.
Yeah.
I went to the movie, and then they walked us down to our house, our apartment, and then they went back and caught the bus. They had quite a long, they had plenty of walking that night, because we...
You always had plenty of walking back then.
Yep, he went everywhere.
And I guess one of you made a good impression on the other one.
Oh, I
don't know
made a
which
good
one it
impression
was.
on her.
So I didn't make an impression on you, and you came back anyway?
No, I just came back.
That was in September
September, I guess.
of 1949. And we dated until December.
Yeah, I left,
And in
went down
December,
to El
we left for El
Paso.
Paso.
And
And then we wrote letters.
yeah, she came down in May and we got married.
He called me at work, wondering if I'd come get and marry him. People at work told me I was gonna go down there and marry that character, and he's gonna run off and leave me pregnant. So,
But I didn't.
Were you surprised by the call?
a little, yeah, a little, but the hints had always been there, for some months. So, and he let this other couple push him over the brink, I think.
Yeah,
Which who was a buddy of his too, and had married another one of the girls that I went to high school with. So
but then they got divorced about, what, 3 years later, 3 or 4?
more than that, honey. David went to not Vietnam, Korea, and came back. Remember, and they moved to California.
Yeah,
And then
but it was
stayed
only
a while.
about 3 or 4 years. Because I went to
You went,
Japan in 52 and they were still married then.
yeah.
And shortly after that they wasn't, so it was 3 or 4 years that they were
Not too
married.
long. David drank like a fish, and in fact, when they lived in El Paso, and we lived in El Paso right after we married, and for two different times we lived together, and one time we lived together in a second floor of a nice home out on North 100, no, out on, yeah, 100. And what was the name of that street? Montana Avenue.
Montana Avenue, yeah.
100 something block or
100 block
something.
of Montana Avenue.
And he drank a lot then, and then
When
we
he
lived
got out
one
of
other time
service,
with him down
they
there.
went to California and stayed.
Well, we got transferred to Las Cruces and stayed up there
3
3
months or
months,
so.
and then got transferred back and rented a little house in the backyard of this other home.
And then we got sent to Seattle.
Well, not before we'd moved again,
No,
because something happened and they didn't have enough money to pay their rent or something, so we all decided to live in that little house together. And then later on, we moved out, and we were only moved out about maybe 2 months, maybe not even that long.
No.
So we got orders. He got orders for Seattle.
I tried to get the promotion. They was promoting everybody, and I went to see why I wasn't being promoted. Sergeant Major told me to shut up and go back over there and do my job and forget about it. They'd promote me when they got ready. I told them, don't chastise me, send me quartermaster.
Box me, send me a quartermaster.
So I forgot about it, and a couple weeks later I was over at the unit one day at noon. We was running a dispensary, and I was over there at noon. The first sergeant asked me, he said, "Smith, is you all cleared?" I said, "Cleared for what?" He said, "You're leaving here Saturday," and this was already Wednesday.
They hadn't even bothered to tell him.
They hadn't even bothered to tell me, so
And that was when you were transferred to Seattle.
that was when I was transferred to Seattle.
Best thing ever happened.
Betty was 7 months pregnant. We rode to Seattle in the old 40 model Chevrolet that Dad had given me. And every time we hit one of those washes in New Mexico and Arizona, low water crossings, they don't have them out there now, but they used to have them every few hundred yards they'd have one. And it was hot, Lord, it was hot.
We hit one of those, and that baby felt like it came right up my throat every time.
That's a big move at 7 months pregnant.
Yeah.
Well,
that and no air conditioning in the car, it was hot. We didn't have the money for a motel. didn't have the money for nothing. We got up there and I went to the Red Cross to try to get enough money to rent an apartment. Red Cross wouldn't give me any money or lend me any money. So I finally went to Army Emergency Relief, made out an allotment, and they give me $50.
So where'd you sleep on that trip? Just in the car?
In the car.
In the car.
Now you actually got married in Las Cruces,
Yeah,
even though you were living in El Paso at the time.
yeah, we had an apartment in El Paso on San Antonio
And
Street.
then when he got TDY'd, we came back up to Las Cruces and lived 3 months or so, 3 or 4 months.
About 3 months we lived there.
Well, you got orders from there, wasn't it? To go to Seattle?
No.
We'd already transferred back, yeah.
No,
They
they
just
had
pulled you
done
back,
closed-
all
they
they
had
done,
done
because it was
closed
this TDY thing.
Why'd you get married in Las Cruces?
Because you had to wait 3 days in Texas.
And then
And
it
we
went-
didn't want to wait 3 days because didn't have the money for her to stay in a motel.
So, what was the timing? You got off the bus at what time of day?
Well, I
About
got
10
on the
o'clock in the
bus
morning.
in Greenwood. It was Wednesday we got married. So I got on the bus Tuesday in Greenwood about noon and rode all day and the rest of the day and all night until around noon the next day. And that's when I got off the bus. And I didn't see anybody I knew anywhere.
And by the time she got off the bus and all, we had done give up on her coming because we thought it had run, started to walk off, and then we seen the bus come in. Walked back and got her and had to go, Ruth had a doctor's appointment because she was pregnant. So we went to that first and then we went up to get married, and when we got up there, everything went along good until we told them age and all, and they told us we couldn't have a marriage certificate until we had
So you had.
I had to have a telegram from my dad stating that I could get married. So I called him and he sent me one, and we got it that night at about 6 o'clock. They came back.
The JP and
the clerk,
clerk.
and they charged us double for the marriage license. And the thing.
$20 instead of 10. That $20 hard to come by.
And you were how old?
I was 19, going on 20, nearly 20.
You liked a month
I
and
liked a month being 20,
20.
month and 3 days.
And I was right at 2 months past my birthday.
She was 20,
I was
but
barely 20.
a woman could get married at 18, a man couldn't. So that's how it worked. I've got to go to the bathroom.